Okay.
You're live.
Okay, we are live. If you guys, Instagram got to see this, A-listers on Facebook, you didn't get to see this, but Dawn was just fixing my hair. She was coming in. You guys got to see, Instagram got to see some backstage stuff. Always have your wife, always have your most trusted ally fixing your hair before you go live. Okay, guys, good to be back. Good to see you. It's been a while, right? Let's get some training in, right? And then we'll do like we've always done in the past, right? So in the past I've trained you a lot on best practices, on what to do in speaking, right? Today, we're gonna go to that dark side because I want you to be able to make money from stage and on camera during any economy, during pandemics, during total breakdowns in the system. You got to be able to do it on stage, and I want you to be able to do it on camera, right? So today we are going to the dark side, which is the most effective side. I'm going to teach you what never to do, what not to do, instead of what to do. I think that the self-help world, right, as a whole, has always kind of gotten this wrong. What we mostly do, people who are in the business of helping other people, what we mostly do is tell people what to do, right? But I think what's more effective is what you won't do or what never to do. That's what really moves the dial, which is why we're going to talk about it today. So a lot of you know that I was, former NFL player, right? So so when you're trying to, go to college and be a college football player, and when you're trying to go to the highest heights of being an NFL player, it's not so important what you'll do, right? What really moves the dial, which really takes you to the very top of your field, and this goes for speaking too, it's not just athletics. What takes you to the top is what you won't do. Think about that. It's what you won't do. It's what you won't consume. Is what you will never do again, right? That's what I'm going to teach you today, because now we're going to step on the gas, because I want you to start building your businesses, whether you're a beginner or whether you already have a business and you want to grow it to be bigger. Speaking, this kind of communication, this kind of intimacy that we're having right now is the thing that moves the dial, right? It grows your company, right? So I want to teach you what not to do so that you can build your company. Because I often say this, and if you read, which I think most of you guys have read, There's No Plan B for Your A Game. What takes you to the top is never what you do. What takes you to the top is elimination. It always is. It's what takes you to the world-class level, to being the best in the world, is a process of eliminating. It's a process of elimination, right? So that's what I'm going to show you guys today. So let's jump in, okay, to the training. And just like always, I'll train you maybe 15, 20 minutes, right? And get your questions ready, because Dawn's going to throw us the questions. So put those in the chat. I'll answer, as many questions that we have, and then I'll end by giving you some marching orders, so you know what to enter your week with. Okay, so let's jump in. Here's what I don't want you ever to do again, right? So I want to give you five things that you are not going to do. Number one, and I wrote them all down here, and I've been applying them to myself, to you guys, right? Because you get good at this for a while, you get world class at this, and you start to have your bad habits start to creep in, and I have to remind myself, Bo, don't do that. Bo, never do that. And that's the same things that I'm going to share with you. So the first thing is when people are using Zoom, right, they tend to not want to take risks, okay? Not taking risks is the first one. Now, what does that mean? Right? What does that mean? The world, your audience, only rewards courage, right? So if you're not risking anything, you're not displaying any kind of courage, right? But we know that the world, your audience in this case, uh, uh, rewards your bravery and your courage. So we want to take risks. A lot of people, when they get on Zoom, they use slides to hide behind, for example. They use one crummy camera where you could use maybe a couple of cameras, maybe a different angle of a camera, maybe some cooler lighting or a cooler background. Those are risky, right? It exposes you in a certain way. It tells a story in a certain way that puts you automatically at risk, which you're then rewarded for, okay? So quit trying to play the safe game, the perfection game. That's so overrated. No one cares about perfection because there's no connective tissue to it, right? So don't play that game. Don't play the safe game, because you tell me, have you ever been attracted to anybody that plays the safe game? No, you've never been attracted to them. So don't play that game. Take risks. So not taking risks is no longer a part of our game. Guys, got it? That's number one. Number two, not rehearsing your speech. That's off the table. That's a big, big mistake. Most people don't rehearse, or they under rehearse, right? So they skip the rehearsal process, or they don't do it enough. Not rehearsing is not a part of our game. That is a huge mistake. You are never going to make that one again, because and especially when you're making offers, right? So I want you to build your company. I want you to make offers. I want you to increase the income of your company by speaking. And you can't do that, right? By not rehearsing. You've got to be rehearsed. Not only does your talk have to be rehearsed and your training have to be rehearsed, your story has to be rehearsed, but your offer has to be rehearsed. So often when I'm given a speech and then it leads to an offer to build my company, I rehearse the offer first. I rehearse it over and over and over again. I go for long walks on the beach or hikes on the trails, or get on a stationary bike or a treadmill, and I rehearse like crazy. Most people skip that. You and me aren't doing that anymore, right? So second biggest mistake, not rehearsing enough, being under rehearsed, especially your offer, okay? Number three, most people have no intention when they speak. You know what I mean by that? What do I mean by that? No intent, right? They're kind of rambling around. They kind of don't know which direction they're headed. I want you to have a clear and clean intent on what you're doing to your audience. Are you inspiring them, right? Are you making them better? Are you connecting with them? Are you moving them to a different emotional place? What is the intent? Whatever your intent is, you usually get that right. But here's the problem. No one has an intention. They just go, oh, I'll just talk to these people and I hope it works out. Well, that never works out. You have to have an intent. Do you want to grow your company with this speech? Do you? Do you want to move people to action with your speech? If you don't have that intent in place, your audience doesn't know where you're going because you don't know where you're going. So remember, no intention is a weak speech. You've got to have intent. You know who's really great about this is, great performers, like whether that be from the ballet world, whether that be from the athletic world, whether that be from the CEO world, right? They're very intentional about what they're doing each and every day. So in your case, if you're a speaker, if you're a leader, if you're a trainer, if you're a coach, you got to know what the hell your intent is for that talk, or don't do it at all, right? Don't just talk to talk. That's what most people do because they make the mistake of having no intent, okay? Big intention, clear intention, sets everything right, okay? Number four, especially on Zoom, right? So I want you guys to own Zoom. I want you to own it. I want you to own the stage. I want you to own the room that you're in. How do you do that? How do you do that? Well, here's what you never do if you're interested in doing that. Most people on Zoom, most people on stage, most human beings walking around this planet have no physical presence. Don't make that mistake. They have no physical presence because they don't prepare their body to be present. They don't prepare their body and activate their body to have the predatory instincts that we have as human beings. Let me remind you, I know you guys have heard this 1,000 times from me, but we are predator animals as human beings. That might be good news for you, that might be bad news for you, but that's what we are. Right? I know this word predator has gotten a bad connotation from the news media because they give that moniker to the worst of our society. But I don't give it to them. If you and me are predator animals and we're the most dangerous and we're the smartest predator animal and we're the most noble and trustworthy predator animal, then the body has to be prepared for what it's about to do, which is have a physical presence on camera, especially on Zoom, especially on these virtual events that you're having and lives that you're having. If you're not physical, people will turn you off in a second because there's no sense in watching somebody who is apologizing for what they are, which is a physical, primal beast, if you will, right? So if we did a live and I brought a lion or a lioness right here on my lap and just had the lion or lioness look at you in the camera, what would you do? Well, we all know what we would do. We wouldn't do anything. We would stare at that predator animal because it is dangerous and it's unapologetic about what it is. It is what it is. It's a lion. It's a lioness. But so are you and me. So we are not in the business of not being physically present on camera. We have to be to have people watch us, right? Mother Nature tells us that the nature is constantly expanding. Nature never shrinks. It always constantly expands. So we're a part of nature. We're a part of Mother Nature and nature as a whole, right? Human nature. We're the only ones who shrink. Why do we shrink? Why do we apologize? Why do we pretend that we're not predator primal animals? We are. So we're not skipping that part, right? You can skip it at your own peril. All these things that I'm telling you, all these mistakes that people make, whether it's not taking risks, whether it's not rehearsing enough, whether it's not having an intention, whether it's not being physically present, you can make all those mistakes, but you're not going to build your company that way. You're just not, right? This is why we're going to the dark side and getting rid of these things that most speakers do, especially virtually, okay? So we're not shrinking, we're expanding just like Mother Nature. To do that, we've got to be in touch with our physicality, especially when we're given these little boxes that we're in. We got to fill that box, right? Your body's got to be informed with the physicality. The fifth mistake that everybody makes, no personal story. So they'll say a term like this to me. I'll go, hey, you got to tell your personal story on camera, on stage. And people, well, Bo, it's not about me, it's about the audience. I go, yeah, that's right. So you have to share your personal story to have connective tissue with your audience, right? All of you know this statistic. I've said it a million times. Trust is at its lowest level it's ever been in the history of the world, especially in America. The trust is at its lowest level. Who's going to rebuild that trust? The storytellers. Why? Because storytellers build up trust by having connective tissue, by sharing themselves, exposing themselves, putting themselves in a vulnerable position, which connects you to your audience. So what happens when you have connection with the audience? Now the trust levels start, the armor that we've built up to protect ourselves now starts to fall away because somebody who has shared themselves. And now you have trust because you have the ability to tell your story. So it is a huge, huge mistake to leave your personal story on the sidelines. We lead with it. We don't mess around with our audience. We don't go, welcome audience. Hello, thank you. It's so good to be here. We don't say that. We start with our story. We start building trust from the first words out of our mouths. And if you don't do that, shame on you. Do not make that mistake. So let me run through the 5 again, okay? The 5 never do again, right? We're not taking places. The 5 biggest mistakes: not taking enough risk. We are courageous. We get rewarded because we are courageous. So we take risks. We don't hide behind slides. We don't hide behind shrinkage, right? An apologetic nature. We don't do that. We take risks. We rehearse our ass off, right? So the mistake is being under rehearsed. The mistake is not rehearsing enough, especially the offer. The third mistake, no intention. The audience doesn't know where you're going with them. You don't know where you're going with them. You have to have clear intent on what you're doing on that microphone, what you're doing in front of that camera and on stage. The fourth mistake, no physical presence. People will dismiss you as soon as you're not physical because you're no longer, they don't have to watch you because you're no longer, you're dismissing yourself, so they're going to dismiss you, okay? Can't have that. And the fifth biggest mistake is no personal story. People will make the mistake of saying this: hey, Bo, it's not about me. That's a mistake. That's not what I'm teaching you to do. I'm teaching you to share yourself, which puts you in a vulnerable, exposed position, which then builds trust. Now your audience drops the armor of protection that they have built up over time, and now you and only you, the storytellers, will be able to have connective tissue with another human being, the very thing that is lacking the most in our society, but yet is the most valuable in our society. So now if you can tell a personal story, and you can tell it well, and you can tell it physically, and you can tell it with intent, and you can tell it with courage, then you become very valuable to the world. So what happens to people that are valuable to the world? They get paid likewise. When you create more value for people, right? You become more valuable. They pay you for that. That builds your company. Okay? Those are the 5 mistakes I want you to avoid at all costs. Because look, I want you to go to the top of the world, go to the top of the line in any economy at any time, whether you have to do it in front of a camera or on the stage. Okay? That's the training. So I find this so funny. It's the people that I played pro football with, all of us refused to do certain things. That's how we got to the NFL. The guys who did a bunch of things, right? They never made it. That's why the self-help world's got it wrong. It's not what you'll do. It's what you won't do. And I just laid out the 5 things that you won't do, that we won't do, because we're in the business of going to the top. Cool? Okay. Let's open it up. Do you have some questions? Sweetheart, do we have any?
Yeah, we just let me come over here. We have one from Tristan. How do I know how much time I should spend on rehearsing? I tend to practice to the point where I feel like I'm over-prepared and I've overdone it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair enough. Is it Tristan?
Mm-hmm.
Tristan, I like you there, right? I do. I'd much rather have you over-rehearsed. But then here's the key to people who over-rehearse, because I'm in your world, right? I over-rehearse. And guess what happens right before I go? Right before I take the stage, right before we go live? Guess what I do? I don't even know what I'm about to say. I forget all those rehearsals. You understand? So the people who are over-prepared, which is very rare, Tristan, just so you know, I love the over-prepare people because you've got to forget what you're about to say. You got to forget about what you're going to do and go, which is courageous. Because it'll all come back to you, even though you're scared it won't, right? Even though you're afraid you're not going to know the right words or you're not going to have the right intent, it'll all come back. The magic happens because you over-rehearsed, then forgot about the rehearsal. Now you're just Tristan live, right? You've got to be able to do that. The over-rehearsers in the audience today know that that's true for you too. Now, for you under-rehearsed people, right, you need to rehearse more so you can get to that point where you can forget everything. Okay? Cool. Okay, good. Does that answer it?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have another really good question about like what comes first, the offer or the talk? Which one do you develop first, the offer or the talk?
Well, they can go both ways. I've done them both ways, but when you know you're going to make an offer, like the company tells you, hey, you're going to make an offer, or you tell yourself, hey, I'd like to build my business, so I'd like to make an offer. Excuse me. You start rehearsing the offer first, and then that will inform the speech, right? So that'll inform what you want to teach them during the speech, because you want to lay out some seeds and some things that you want to say during the speech and train them so that you can come back to that in the offer. So most people make the mistake of doing the whole speech, then create an offer from the speech. I wouldn't do that. I'd look at the offer that you're going to make, right? Then go, oh, you know what'll help that offer? If I tell them this story. Oh, you know what'll help that offer down here is if I train them A, B, and C, and then I can deliver that during the offer and remind them of what I just taught them during the offer. So that is a great way to go. So that goes to an intent. So your intent may be to I want to grow my business fivefold today, right? And you're looking at the offer and you're going, how do I make this offer? What do I do? How do I do this? How do I be the most valuable trainer for my audience? Then you go, okay, let me go back up to the top of the speech. What story do I want to lead with? What critical steps do I want to train them with that will really benefit that offer? So I would work it like that, if you will. Now, sometimes, I used to make speeches without offers, right? So a lot of times I would go, what are people responding to in the speech? What do people like about Bo? I don't have an offer. I never made an offer before. And that speech and that audience usually showed me what they wanted more of. They wanted to go deeper with Bo, but I didn't give them a chance to go deeper because I was just giving a speech and leaving. So a lot of times, if you're like that, if you're like me and you're just doing that, you'll find what's valuable to your audience and then you'll create an offer out of that, okay? So that's why I say sometimes the offer comes first and sometimes the story comes first. But literally, they both inform one another. So whatever you're solid in right now, whether you're just giving speeches without an offer, start there and see what kind of offer you can create from that. If you're good at making offers but don't know how to begin, don't know what to do in the speech, start with your great solid offer and then go, oh, maybe I should tell that story. Oh, maybe I should train them in this. Okay? So we're going to work both ways. Great question. I love it. Who else, Ben?
Yeah, Carlos actually has a question. He says, I was told sharing my story of being a non-tax filer in my 20s could make me less trustworthy. I help taxpayers who have problems with the IRS.
Oh, you do? Wow. See, I think you're the man for the job. See, I think whoever told you that you're probably not paying them. Am I right?
Yeah, and Carlos actually did the 3-day virtual event.
Did?
He's awesome, and I think he shared that story because you encouraged him and had 100 and something appointmute from it.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
It's pretty cool.
Isn't that funny, Carlos? How it works? So here, look, I'll give you an antidote, right? So I have a buddy who has he's the best consultant when it comes to man-woman relationships, like marriages, right? He's on his third marriage. He's the best I've ever seen. You know why? Because he's failed at it the most. You know what I mean? He's great at coaching couples because he struggles at being in a couple. You understand?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll give you another one. So it makes him very valuable. So Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever to play the game, right? Do you know he was cut twice in high school from the basketball team in high school? How did he become the greatest basketball player in the world? Because he became the most valuable because of the failure in basketball. So, Carlos, you become super valuable, which I know you're learning right now. You're becoming super valuable because of your past tax problems. You're able to help people today with their IRS problems because of your past problems. That's how it works. The person that failed the most is usually the most valuable at training people where they want to go because they failed the most. It works in marriages, relationship counseling. It works in IRS. It works in professional sports. The people who have stepped in the bear trap of that specific field are often the best ones to train you not to step in those bear traps. You got me? Okay, good. Really good, Carlos.
And then Kit has a good question. Which
Kit, what's up, Kit?
And Angelica's on too.
Angelica.
So, and I might be rephrasing this. I'm not sure if I'm rephrasing this right for Kit.
Okay.
But I think it's just a good, she says she's having a challenge sharing enough to educate without having to squeeze in her entire product into the top.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about like how many minutes you usually leave for your offer and how much content, because it is a balance, I know.
Yeah. Kit, I'm going to give you a golden rule to live the rest of your life in. And I didn't know this. Somebody told me this. They say, if you teach too long, if you give them all your good, everything you got. For one, they're not ready for that, Kit. But here's the dilemma. You have now turned them into a student. If you teach them too much, they're not ready for it. And now you have made them a student. And here's the deal with students. A student mind is not a buying mind. That's the golden rule. So a student is not a buyer. If you train them too long, you turn them into a student. I would only train them a really short time with the best stuff you got, like the 3 critical steps. Really crisp, really emotional, really going at them, really aggressive with your training, but don't give them the whole kit and caboodle because they can't, they're not ready for it. And secondly, Kit, you're turning them into students, and students don't buy, right? Buyers buy, right? So you keep them a buyer by not turning them into a student by teaching them too much, okay? Don't turn a fire hose on them, try to train them on too many things, and now they're confused, now they're a student, now they're taking notes, and now they're not a buyer anymore, okay? Students don't buy, buyers buy. Keep them buyers. Don't turn them into students. Cool?
That's great. And let's see. I have a question here from Lars, who's an actor, actually. And hold on, let me find it.
What's up, Lars?
He just had some questions about physicality and some, can you give me some specific ideas on how to improve physical presence?
Yeah.
Any specific gestures, postures, movements that work or don't work?
Yeah, I will, Lars. And I was trained by a guy named Jean-Louis Rodrigue who works mostly with actors, right? So the great part about you and me, Lars, is that we are physical animals to begin with, right? But we've learned over time, like, we get to a certain age and we've been shamed so much for being physical. Like the physical body is an instrument to be ashamed of. So, and we keep hearing these lessons over and over. Don't be too bold. Don't be too strong. Don't be too powerful, right? So you and me have to remember who we actually are. We are these dangerous physical animals. That is the number one lesson. You just have to remember, recall who you are. So, think of the occupations that you never can look away from, Lars, and be like them. Okay, so a firefighter charging into a burning building, you can't look away from. They're unapologetic, they have a job to do, and they don't apologize for it. They move with a certain efficiency, just like predator animals do, just like a cheetah would if it's running down an impala. What other occupations are like this? Have you ever seen a bullfight, Lars? You ever seen a matador in a bullfight? You see how physical they are. They stand perfectly still, and that's how they get rewarded, and they're just a couple of 1,000 pounds of an animal that is bred to destroy anything in its path with horns, and they just stand right by it, showing courage, showing bravery. And if they don't show that bravery and that courage, that bull will run them over and kill them, right? They just show it, right? A fencer, a boxer. You can always tell a boxing match. You know who's going to win by physically what they're being, who they're being. You see what I mean? One guy is, or a gal, when they enter the ring, they are just relaxed. They are themselves. They are physical without, going overboard. They're just standing there. They're ready to go. The other guy or gal, they might be talking smack. They might be doing all kinds of goofy things, right? They're scared, right? They're the ones going to lose. I want you know what a great lesson is, which my teacher gave me, Lars, especially since you're a performer anyway, so you have this molecule in your body already. Just watch some of those videos on YouTube of National Geographic. Watch the animal world, gorillas, predator cats, lions, tigers, cheetahs. Watch how they move. Watch how they never apologize. They just are who they are. Well, that's what kids do too. When you were a kid, Lars, that's how you were, right? And then the kindergarten teacher ruined it by telling you to put your hands to your side and be nice and stand in line, and ruined your whole life, right? And now you have to remind yourself of this physical beast. So I would watch some of that, and then I would just be conscious of my physicality everywhere I go. I'd be really conscious of if I'm standing strong, or if I'm apologizing with my hands or with my head, or what am I doing to my body to apologize? Am I crossing my feet? Am I holding my feet too close together? That's an apology. Am I covering my sex? Like a lot of people, I know you can't see this with the camera, but they put their hand over their sex. Men and women both do this. That's an apology, right? This is an apology. For a man, sticking his hands in his pockets is an apology for your power. You're a powerful, primitive animal, Lars. Don't apologize for it.
But also, yeah, we have one more question, then we'll wrap. But also with the physicality, when you are making an offer, when you are selling a product, when you're selling yourself, your coaching services, you want to have that trust, and that really starts with your physicality. Yeah. More than anything. Yeah, Dawn's 100% right on that, Lars. So if you are making offers, people believe, the studies show that people believe about 50% of what comes out of a person's mouth, but they believe that person's body 100% of the time. So imagine that. 100% of the time, your body can't lie. So they trust your body. Whether it's betraying you or not, they trust it, right? So you're going to sell a lot more. You're going to get a lot more auditions. You're going to get a lot more roles based on them trusting your body. So before you ever enter that room, I would be activated, I'd be warmed up, and then I'd enter the room. A human being that doesn't have the ability to apologize for their physical nature. That's attractive, okay? Go. Okay, so we have a last question from Naomi, or Nomi, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. When you have a Zoom meeting, when you have a Zoom meeting with a potential client, do you start with your story straight away after greeting someone? Wait, repeat it. Like when you have a Zoom meeting with a potential client.
Yes.
Do you start with your story straight away after reading them?
I do. I start almost every phone call that way. I start webinars that way, even if it's really just a couple of sentences. And that story really breaks the ice because it connects you to another human being. Where if you're going like this, if you're going, well, hello, how are you today? The weather here is really strange. God, I feel a lot of great energy here. If you say stuff like that, that's just like stilted and it's made up and it's not authentic and it doesn't connect human to human. What does connect human to human was when I woke up this morning, my daughter was awake, she's 11, and she wanted breakfast right away, and she wanted this specific cereal, right? So I'm just making this up, I'm just riffing, right? But what that does is give you connective tissue with another human being, because guess what? They have a daughter too, or they don't have a daughter. It doesn't matter. It's still the connective tissue of not having a daughter or having a daughter. You have now put that person, that potential client, into their own lives by you sharing your life. And now you get rewarded for that because now they're going to share with you. And now everybody has dropped the phony armor that they had up trying to say, let's talk about the weather. Hey, how about that pandemic? Whoa. That doesn't mean shit. That doesn't move the dial, right? That doesn't build trust. What builds trust is personal stuff. Is like, man, I had this dream of being this when I was a kid and I got slammed. Like that is a personal story that just connects to other people. And then now that moves the dial along, right? So I always do that. I always start with it. Okay.
And then I just wanted to say something, just read a comment that Llewellyn left.
Llewellyn, what's up? I've been following you, man. Love it. Love it, dude.
He says, not a question, just want to say the whole idea of this community that is dedicated to being the best and running the miles necessary to do that has changed my life. This material, the book, etc., has been the most influential information to me, period.
Wow, so great, Llewellyn. So Llewellyn is, you can tell, is very close to his own nature. He always was, he just forgot because the news media told him he shouldn't be that. Right. And since we've been together and working together, he just got reminded of his own nature. And now he just took off and he exploded, just like all of you will. Right. If you are who you are, then you will explode. You will be all attractive. Right. If you're trying to be something you're not. And if you think of our culture and our society, guys, they're trying to make you something you're not. They're trying to make you fit into a cubicle that you don't fit into. That would be like putting a lion, the king of the jungle, in a little cage, which they do, right? And you see the spirit of that lion die right in front of you. Well, that's what's happening to us human beings until we're reminded of who we are. And what we are is true to Mother Nature. We're true to our own primitive instincts, right? It makes us very powerful. It makes us very attractive. And that's how you build your company. You just have to be reminded of who you are. So Llewellyn, way to go, man. Really proud of you, dude. Okay, let me give you your marching orders. So I want you to take these 5 never do agains, right? I want you to look at these 5 and I want you to pick one this week, just one that you're never going to do again. Like, are you ever going to be under rehearsed again? Are you ever going to have no intent again? Are you ever not going to share your story again? Are you never going to not be physical and get warmed up and get your body activated before you go on live, before you go on camera, before you go on a date, before you have a speech? No. Pick one of those and share it in the comments. I want to know what mistake you're never making again of those 5, right? And then during the week, what we'll do is we'll try, or maybe next week we'll come back and address that marching orders by filling in the gap. Because when you stop doing something, like say you stop drinking wine, you stop eating cupcakes, there's a void in your life that must be filled with something, right? And that's got to be something of your choosing. So if I stop drinking wine, what am I filling that time when I used to drink wine? What am I drinking? Water, right? So I have to fill that void. Maybe we'll talk about that, filling that void. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. But put them in put your never do agains. Put those in the comments so I can see what you're never going to do again. Okay? Great job, you guys. Love being back together. Feels great. We're getting serious, right? This shit's going to get really serious, right? Because serious times, you have to make serious eliminations from your life to go to the top. You don't have to add things to your life. You have to eliminate things from your life. Okay? Get out there. Let us know in the comments what you're never going to do, and we'll see you next week. Okay, guys. Thank you.